Good evening, everybody.
I just found the keys to a city. The beats are big and the lights are pretty. So why can't we go to the busy where the dreams are in the sky?
And that's There You Are by Pogo. Welcome to Lost Mannerisms. I'm your host, Forrest. Where's Al? Who the hell are you?
Oh, sorry, I'm getting all this dust off me. This shirt was red when we started, but you guys will see that later. My name is Carlos, and I'm happy to join Forrest here today.
That's right. I forgot about this. Al is a little absent lately. He's we have some words for him, but we'll save those words. He didn't show up this weekend. He's got some sort of exam or some school-related stuff, and since he's not here, I've decided to create a new role that is going to hopefully remain when he's gone. We're creating a third chair role.
That's me.
And hopefully Carlos is going to be the one filling the third chair most of the time. But we'll see. It's going to be an open chair, and anyone who knows us and wants to join us, and any famous people who want to join us, can go right on ahead. Since we've been gone for a month, some stuff hit the wall. Al went away, and then when he was coming back, he got sick, I went away, someone was sick, and we were going to have someone for third chair, and they didn't show up. So, for our absence,
I'm what you get.
he's what you get, and we're going to try to have a lot of fun today. We're going to try to have a real good time. So, I think that brings us into our drink of the week.
Perfect.
We don't have glasses right now. And that's because our drink of the week is good old beer. And since I still like, oh geez, college rules here, no bottle openers allowed.
Nope.
Since I still like beer, and I liked beer, and I still like beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are we drinking here, Carlos?
So, for today, we have a delicious Coors Golden Banquet beer. Real top shelf stuff here, folks. This is the 1936 stubby bottle. This is the Time Traveler's beer, if you will. Classic flavor, very weedy, very grainy, and
Is this a microbrew?
you know, I'm tempted to say yes, but I know if it was, they would slap that right on the bottle.
No, this is Coors Original. This is Coors Heavy.
Oh yeah.
This is a good beer.
There's nothing micro about this tiny bottle at all.
No. So, that leads us into the news. Everything is lined up perfectly today, except our segment, which has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, which, you know, the stars align in every other facet, and then when we get to our segments, it all kind of falls apart.
So, do you know what the biggest bit of news in the month I've been absent was?
The biggest bit of news. You know, I'm tempted to say the biggest thing that happened.
No, not that.
All right. It has to be the Kavanaugh.
Yeah. America has officially confirmed the 114th Supreme Court Justice, Brett Kavanaugh.
That's right.
There's a lot of butthurt.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz, a lot of
butthurt.
a lot of butthurt. Yeah.
The butthurt's mostly coming from people who don't understand America's legal system, and there are people with legitimate complaints about
Yes.
about what happened, and I can understand it, but we're not going to get. You know what? These were baseless accusations. These were accusations from almost 4 decades ago. No evidence given. Everyone says, well, testimony's evidence.
Well,
Kinda. Yes. Normally, a witness's testimony is
Yes.
evidence, and all of the witnesses she called forward said this didn't happen.
right.
So,
Extra points if your witness is an impartial third party, which also didn't seem to be the case.
What do you
but
mean?
If your witness has nothing to do with the
yeah.
proceedings in, any way that would benefit them or the defendant or the prosecutor.
Well, but the one witness came forward, and one of them claimed that lifelong best friends of the accuser,
Right.
and she said, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or she didn't ever witness it happen. Happening.
Yeah.
She didn't hear the story. The story's changed. Somebody said, well, the story didn't change while she was testifying. The story's changed significantly since she first came out with it to
Right.
Senator Feinstein? Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
Senator Feinstein. And it's changed even more significantly since she initially came out with it in 2012, still 30 years after the incident.
So I can't speak for you, but for me, as a bystander, your story's changing. That hurts your credibility. You're bringing a witness.
But wait. It's not like one person in the story changed. It's not like, oh, it was Tuesday night. Sorry, I meant it was Wednesday night.
Right.
It's not little details. There's different numbers of people. There's different dates. There's different...
It all seems very hazy, But
I like beer.
yeah, absolutely. One thing that we can agree on.
But you can keep going with your point. Sorry I ran over your words.
No problem at all. Your story's changing. That hurts your credibility. You're bringing a witness who, in theory, should be clearly biased to your side. Close friend of the accuser. Mm-hmm. And then that witness testifies against what you're saying. So really, where's your case? And that, like I said, that is my opinion as a bystander. It doesn't seem like there's much of a case.
Yeah, and there was another FBI investigation. His 7th background check.
Yeah.
Which they rushed a little, that's admitted. Mm-hmm. But they were trying to make this not be a long, drawn-out proceeding.
Right.
Because we've missed so many things in the news because this is all they've been covering. And by the 7th one, they're kind of just like, oh, hey, I think I turned this rock over once before.
Let's see what the other side looks like again.
Yeah. They're dicking around at this point, and the FBI came out with it 3 days ahead of when they were supposed to?
Right.
Because they already claimed they had done everything.
Right. It was a review of what had already been done.
And I've heard the argument that there's no way the FBI could have done this. So, yes, they could have.
Right.
The FBI has a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, either this FBI investigation was good enough, mm-hmm. because the FBI is very good at what they do, and that means this whole Trump-Russia collusion investigation is still good, or the FBI's not efficient, is a waste of money, waste of resources, waste of time, and useless.
Right.
This Kavanaugh investigation is useless.
Mm-hmm.
Trump-Russia investigation. Useless. But now that it's all over, we can get back to the world-changing news.
Oh, no.
Did you hear about this one?
I heard little snippets.
I'll let you jump into it.
And I see it here on our outline, so... Oh, goodness. All right.
This is touching.
Yeah, this is... Since everything's been focused on Kavanaugh, this sort of fell to the wayside, hasn't been on the forefront of everything that, we're seeing as, the Joe Everyman. But Huffington Post has come forward with an article proclaiming that everything that you and I know...
Oh, I didn't want to jump into that one yet.
Is that not what's next?
No.
Crazy stuff happened. Kavanaugh, butthurt.
We're gonna reshoot this beginning, apparently.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, I missed that little duty.
Or we could leave this, whatever. Melania Trump wore a pith helmet in Kenya.
Sorry, the other thing is hits a little more closely home to me.
Other thing hits Carlos hard. He really read up on this. But Melania Trump wore a pith helmet.
Yeah.
She's been criticized solely by liberal American journalists, for wearing something that represents European colonialism.
Right.
Because in countries like Kenya,
Right.
they were once British colonies, and at one point in time, British soldiers wore pith helmets because it's hot as down there.
Yeah, it's really hot, especially in places like Kenya. You're out in the Serengeti, you're out in the savannah, you're going to be a little hot out there.
Yeah. All right. So what you were getting into? This slipped into the cracks because of the Kavanaugh news, because we haven't been around in a month. Huffington Post reported on what?
Huffington Post reported that everything you know, everything I know, everything he knows about obesity is completely wrong and should be thrown out the window. Right out the window. Gone. Thank you. So here's the lowdown. The Huffington Post, in this article, do we have the article title?
Everything you know about obesity is wrong. It's right here.
That's right, yeah.
That's the article title.
According to everything you know about obesity is wrong.
Well, it's a really long form piece.
It is, yeah.
Let's talk. Let's warm it up. It's like on your phone. It took me like 30 scrolls to get to the bottom, and not like little baby scrolls, like full screen swipes.
They were nice enough to format it on a computer where if this is how much space your screen has, this is how much space the text takes up. So you're doing the same amount of tracking through the page. But this article asserts that obesity, well, being overweight and especially obesity, is not a health risk. It is not something that should concern anyone who is worried about their health.
Well, is that because of fit fat people? They've created a term. It's fit fat.
Fit fat. It really rolls off the tongue.
It does. Fit fat.
Yeah, I'm a fit fat guy. Are you a fit fat guy?
I'm a fit fat.
Yeah, fit fat. But the article goes in depth, and they talk to professionals, they talk to experts in the subject, and if you are interested in this, I highly recommend to look up the article. Huffington Post, everything you know about obesity is wrong. And it's, as someone coming from a scientific background, much like Forrest, it's almost laughable because you'll come across, portions of the article where they will be talking about obese individuals. And I know one part that stuck out to me kind of strikingly was they were talking about obese individuals that they had brought into a clinic, and they talked to this professional, and then the reporter talked to the professional. And the professional was telling the reporter, I have a lot of people who come through here who have tried dozens of diets and just nothing worked for them. And the journalist put this in the article as a sort of look, diets don't work and doctors want you to go on diets because doctors are fat shaming you. When in reality, the professional that the journalist was talking to was an endocrinologist. So this is someone who is dealing with people with glandular problems who have no control over their weight. And it's not, they want to put it in this social frame when in reality this is a biological issue. And, it's something that shouldn't be made light of, in my opinion.
There are some serious reporting issues in that article, and we're not going to trash Huffington Post here, but they may or may not do that frequently. But they're going on and on about how, and we aren't even going to get into, they interviewed people, and we don't want to insult the people who actually came to talk about it.
No, of course not.
There was somebody who was who they worked at a hospital.
Yes, it was just a medical technician was what we were given in the article.
And they said they felt like they should lose weight.
Yeah, it was a medical technician, and his account was he would look in the mirror and say, I feel like I'm fat and I shouldn't be. And that's coming from somebody in the medical expertise who is on the up and up. They know what they need to do for their body to be healthy. And that's what he told the reporter. He said, I'm fat, and I shouldn't be, and I know that, and I would like to strive to not be. And whether or not any individual has the motivation to do that and to, rouse themselves to make a difference in their health is up to them.
Yeah.
But this is someone in the medical field, stating the contrary to what the article is pretty much about.
Yeah. Well, it is just a little bit of a funny article, and it's not funny, haha, not funny like a clown.
Right.
It's humorous, though, because of how they report on it. One of the big things that I picked in it is somewhere in the middle of the actual reporting and not just interviews. They say, on population level studies, fat people are less healthy cardiovascularly than skinnier people.
Right.
But because individuals are not averages, some skinny people are susceptible to diabetes,
Yes.
and many fat people, approximately 1/3 of all fat people,
Yes.
are more metabolically healthy
Yes.
than all skinny people.
That.
It really, this is like the Brett Kavanaugh accusation. He was being portrayed as a rapist.
Right.
The woman came forward and accused him of sexual assault, groping.
Okay.
It is almost the difference, that is almost the difference between me punching you and me slitting your throat. This is almost the exact same distance. You're comparing two things that, while yes, they are in the same game.
Right.
They're in the same genre
same realm,
of game.
yeah.
They're not even in the same ballpark.
Right.
They're all playing baseball, but someone's at Fenway and someone's at Yankees Stadium.
Right. And what's and again, I hate to nitpick, but what's striking to me about what you just said is that they're sort of toting this 1/3 of obese people are metabolically, excuse me.
It's a tough word to say.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister. Are metabolically considered healthy, and yet if you take a step back and you say to yourself 1/3, so only 33%, that is well below a failing grade of this group of individuals can be considered healthy, and that's completely discounting all of the health risks
Carlos, you're getting a bit heated about this.
Yeah, a little bit.
It is absurd.
Yeah.
But we cooled you off, didn't we?
Yeah, we got me nice and chilled.
So something that I want to note is that we are probably going to reshoot a lot of the segments we've done in this, what I'm titling Season 1.
Okay.
Because Season 1 is kind of our load up to when we actually start getting real support. Because we're working off like beer money, and that's basically it.
Right.
We all got day jobs. We're all doing this for fun. It's a fun thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
But since we've been sitting here drinking beer and our fire extinguishers are now loaded, we're going to jump into our next segment and do a really bad portrayal, although with some good information, about if you're in an emergency, how to put out a fire. So let's jump into our next segment.
Yeah, let's get right to it.
Welcome to our segment on Lost Mannerisms. I'm Forrest,
And I'm Carlos.
and you already know who he is, so we're not going to waste time here. We've noticed there's a lack of people who understand how to put out a fire, and I'm not going to get into all the technical aspects of how you're trying to either cut the air out of the equation to cool it off. We're just going to go over the basics of how to put a fire out. Because It's important for your house, protect your family, keep your stuff from burning down.
Absolutely. Most importantly, the stuff.
There's a couple different methods. There's water, smothering a fire. It all depends what you're doing with it. And our fire grew a little bit. But one of the basic ways, and probably the way that everyone's gonna put out a fire, is with a fire extinguisher. And if you really get into it, they have directions on them. Your basic method, though, is to pull the pin, aim your little hose, some of them don't have it, at the base of the fire. So don't aim at just the flames, aim at where the flames are coming from. And then you squeeze the trigger and you sweep your nozzle back and forth so you make sure the fire's out.
I was enjoying that.
And you continue to do this until the fire is out. So now we get our fire going again and move on to the next method. Oh, but really quick, an important thing to note. If you use a fire extinguisher in your house for any reason, you need to get a new one. Because once you break the seal in them, you can kind of see how it's just leaking stuff out slowly. Once you break the seal, they lose pressure.
Thanks.
An important thing to note about these fire extinguishers is they do different things. And usually it says it on there. There's different types, and certain ones are good for different fires. Your normal fire extinguisher is an ABC fire extinguisher, and it says on the label, A is essentially trash, wood, paper, B is liquid, C is electrical. So now, if all else fails, the primary thing you should turn to is a fire extinguisher. But, because you can put out a good amount of fire with a fire extinguisher. As you saw when I put this out before, I just gave it a quick little burst before it put out, and I started wasting it on spraying Carlos.
Thanks for that.
In an emergency situation, though, there's always a hose. And Carlos is going to be awesome and bring me the end of a hose. Now, he's going to get back out of frame and go over to the hydrant.
No, I don't think so.
And if you can't tell, I already got a bunch of water all over myself. So, it's almost the same method. You turn your hose on, and you don't want to go after a whole house fire with a garden hose, but if, like, you have a trash can outside, a good old little dumpster fire, and you want to put that out, you might be able to work with a hose. So, it's almost the same method. You take your hose, you turn it on, and you aim it at where the flames are. And now the good thing with the hose over a fire extinguisher is you can turn the water off. With the hose, you can keep spraying it until the material's cooled off. So you're not limited by the size of a fire extinguisher. With a hose, you're trying to cool it off until it's not burning. With a fire extinguisher, you're just trying to cut off the air supply. So, we don't have any more fire. Our wood's soaked.
It's pretty dead.
And we don't have any more ways to put it out. So, that's just a quick rundown on how to extinguish a fire. And if you have a fire, the first thing you should do is call 911 and get a fire department on the way. But if it's something really small, put it out. Put it out as fast as you can. Save your stuff. And protect your family. And that's just about anything you want to add, Carlos?
No, I would say that that's about it. I think number one priority, though, is stay safe and put it out responsibly if you can. I mean, that hasn't
That
or
hasn't.
will ever change.
That hasn't changed in the 20 minutes it took us to shoot that last piece. I still like beer.
Yeah, you know, I almost like beer more now.
Yeah. And it's a good thing because these are fresh.
Yeah.
So, we put out some fires.
Yep.
Um,
What do we have on the docket now?
now, since you don't even watch our show, can I point out,
Can't be proven, by the way, unless you quiz me on the show.
if anyone actually has watched all our episodes, in the first episode I made a reference to a present I was going to get someone on their birthday, and that had a big story.
Right.
And this person was supposed to be involved in the show the whole time. And hey, Carlos, what's that over there?
What, the tricycle or the table saw?
What? Never mind.
Okay.
So yeah, so we finally got him here. So that's worth something. This was supposed to be a really big party episode, and it's a shame that it's just us having a good time.
I mean,
I had 5 people bail out. That's why we couldn't film 2 weekends ago.
right, yeah.
So, moving forward into our products, Apple iPhone X, XS Max, and XSR have come out.
Yeah, the XS for people who want to spend a lot of money on an iPhone. The XS.
It's in excess.
Yeah, exactly. The XS Max for people who want to carry around an iPad and
Maximum
an iPhone.
in excess.
And the XR, which
Still hasn't come out yet.
still hasn't come out yet. Which, when we were putting our little talking outline together, I thought it was the XSR, and I thought it was going to be perfect to make a USSR joke, but it's not. So I'm sad now.
Well, we still might do a USSR joke.
Wow.
I might do the distorted USSR national anthem over this.
That would be perfect.
Meme it up.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
You should talk about this next one since you're such a hunk.
Oh please. So this just in: if you live in the Illinois area, 6.5 million pounds of beef have been recalled in that area for possible exposure to salmonella. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's important. Beef's manly, so we talked about it.
Yeah. Nah, there you go.
I don't know why I keep peeling my beer bottle.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I should just be drinking it because I like beer.
Hey. No.
And something fun. Elon Musk is no longer the CEO of Tesla. He got hit by the SEC for something. I didn't look into it too much, sorry. Shoddy reporting, we're not a news agency.
We are most certainly not. We are drinking beer in a barn.
We're drinking beer in a barn. That's a good way to explain it. All right, so moving on, we got a little, speaking of manly activities like
Yes.
drinking beer in a barn,
Yes.
Carlos is going to tell us about our skill of the week.
All right.
So
So
we're going to take a quick break here,
yeah.
and then we'll jump into that.
And now listen to this.
Welcome back to Lost Mannerisms. I'm Forrest.
And I'm Carlos.
And right now, we're going to get into a little topic that I made an executive decision and decided that we'd be talking about it. We are going to, as the skill of the week, we are going to talk about manly virtue.
Yes, that will be our skill of the week. Is going to be a virtue instead of a skill.
So, you look at you talking like you've been here before.
I mean, what can I say?
He takes the role all right. So, when we started talking about strength in the toxic masculinity episode, I decided that we were going to speak about virtues in general. Carlos is going to tell you about our virtue of the week,
Yes.
our skill of the week, virtue. He's going to lead this, and I'm drawing a blank on what I wanted to say. And I completely forget what it was, and hopefully our camera's going to record this. I'm going to sit and listen to Carlos's explanation.
Yep.
And our manly virtue is justice.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
justice is very relevant to what happened this week. It's very important in our society. And I personally truly believe in the one Martin Luther King Jr. quote that, no, not I have a dream. It's that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Did I quote that
A
right?
threat to justice.
Is a
everywhere.
threat. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. It doesn't matter who the injustice is to. It doesn't matter if they're white, black, purple, pink, yellow, brown, straight, gay,
Yep.
questioning, anyone. Injustice.
Absolutely.
So, Carlos is going to tell us in hopefully a quick. This time we had a problem with the camera. I don't know why. We're going to have to buy a real camcorder soon, but
We're gonna have to buy a real cameraman.
yeah. So, in a quick explanation, Carlos is going to tell us what justice is, why it applies to this show themed on men,
Yes.
and how our little disclaimer here, which is a shame that we have to apply it in today's society, but because it's today's society, when Carlos says this is good for men, he does not mean solely men. He means that our show is themed towards men.
Yes. By
But-
men for men.
By men for men, but this could be applied everywhere.
Absolutely, and I think many of the things that we're going to hit with virtue of the week or just manly virtues, most of them are going to be ubiquitous and they're going to apply to just society as a whole. But that being said, I'm going to blitz our virtue here. So our virtue is justice, and you'll forgive me for using my smartphone, but I wanted to give you guys a sort of dictionary type definition.
You guys have known we've done this before. We have the budget of beer money, so
Which we can explain everything away with. But let's jump in. So justice is one of the four cardinal virtues in classical European philosophy. It is the moderation or mean in between selfishness and selflessness. So with that being said, let's jump in. I believe that justice is manly because men should strive for things to be fair and just, which I don't think is asking for, an obscene amount of effort from our society, at large.
no. Like the definition said, it's the in between
Yeah.
between selflessness, because it is possible to be too selfless,
Oh, absolutely.
and it is easily possible to be too selfish.
It's almost too easy.
Yes.
But that being said, I've sort of formulated my own definition. I don't want to speak for Lost Mannerisms as a whole, but
The views represented by Carlos are those of his. Just tell it.
so I believe that men of sound body and mind have an innate responsibility to ensure the just aspects of life for all of those around him.
All of them.
All of them. And
Is there any exception to this?
I think the only exception to this assertion would be, someone who is blatantly flippant to justice. You know what I mean? Someone who clearly violates this justice that we've laid out.
Okay.
So, for example,
So you're
it is-
saying that people who are in violation of things being fair
yes,
should not be on the receiving end of necessarily fair treatment.
right, because I believe that
But
it
there,
is the
but if
job.
you take your average person in cultural society,
right,
everyone there is entitled to fair
Absolutely.
and equal.
absolutely, and I think it is the responsibility, or at least I think it should be the responsibility of men in our society. Again, see the footnote at the beginning of this video. It is the job of men in our society to uphold this sense of justice.
That ties into strength. That ties into the importance of strength. And there are a lot of, can't see it, there are a lot of tools in our society that allow people who are morally strong but physically weak to be able to defend those who are receiving unjust treatment.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of reasons to focus on justice. But you had a question for our viewers.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you, our viewers, a bit of a takeaway here, and Feel free to populate the comment section with your answers to this.
He's
and
good.
Your thoughts.
This is the first episode, and he's already advertising for us.
That being said, imagine for me a moment. Imagine for a moment for me what your life would be like if your father, or the male role model in your life, someone you look up to, someone who is a paragon to you of what manliness is, was not a just man who stood up for what was right and stood up for people who couldn't defend themselves. And imagine what impact that would have on you and what kind of man you would be today.
This gives me an idea. We need to bring a father on this. So a younger father though. Someone, actually a couple fathers across different age groups, and talk about, because that is one of the biggest roles of being a man.
Yeah.
It's one of the most important roles of being a man is being a father.
Absolutely.
And honestly, for passing on this sense of justice to everyone.
Yeah,
So,
I would definitely say so.
with that,
Oh, actually, as a little word to the camera just clicked again. As a little word to our viewers here, if someone has shared this channel with you guys, obviously they care about you, and they want you to get the most out of your masculine experience in life. Do that person a favor, do yourself a favor, and go ahead and subscribe.
Tis better to have loved and lost Captain Jean-Luc Picard than never to have loved at all of the Federation starship come cheer up my lance.
so that was Carlos on the nice manly virtue of justice.
That's right.
Which is very, very relevant to everything else we've done this week. And hang on, I'm gonna make a big squeak!
Oh, great.
There we go, okay. I had to get comfortable again. The chairs are all messed up because we move stuff around. But there's a new Supreme Court justice. And it has started to make me believe in something that a lot of conservative personalities have been talking about, that I never really believed in it, but
Okay.
after this Kavanaugh thing, there's something about a board game that I believe might have a real bearing on all of these actions.
What might that be?
Well, I can't say it. Well, I guess I can. I'm gonna sound like a loon bag if I say it, though.
Okay.
It's the whole, everyone said, oh, well, Trump's just been playing 3D chess. I never believed in that. But here Trump goes and he nominates not a super conservative guy.
Right.
And the left just freaks out. Even though he explicitly says, I'm not going to touch Roe versus Wade. It's already been decided, which is a horrible argument because, what was it, Dred Scott and Plessy Ferguson were both decided by the Supreme Court at one point.
Right.
And for those who don't know, Dred Scott said that black people couldn't vote because they weren't actual citizens, because their ancestors didn't immigrate into the country.
Right.
Plessy versus Ferguson is a Supreme Court case that decided that we had to have separate but equal facilities. So horrible cases that were already decided by the Supreme Court, whatever they want to call it, stare decisis, precedent, whatever someone's calling it. These were horrible things that were then overturned by the Supreme Court later.
Yeah.
So on that basis, I didn't like Kavanaugh because he was taking the easy way out to explain something.
Right.
Now, we've had justices who've overturned those precedent cases. Thankfully, to some of them.
Right.
There are cases that we could argue weren't necessarily good, but people don't understand what happens in a case like Roe versus Wade because they might be thinking about the Plessy versus Ferguson and the Brown versus Board of Education. These were things decided nationally.
Right.
But Roe versus Wade, if they overturned it, just means that states would have to decide what to do with
it. It trickles down to the state level at that point.
And if you really want to get in depth and read our Constitution or the Federalist Papers, both of them I think everyone should have a good background in, because they outline how the government, the federal government, does not have powers outside of what is listed. So, Roe v. Wade is unconstitutional, but my take is, who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. At this point, it doesn't matter. It should never have been brought to the Supreme Court because it's not within the government's power. But it's been decided.
Yeah.
And that's a good opinion to say on that landmine. That's our show.
And get with the beat.
Well, they call me the fireman. That's my name. Making my round, running all around town, putting out old flames.